She's far away. Her lipstick stays on your lips.
The evening sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the sprawling mansion. Yn leaned against the kitchen counter, stirring a pot of marinara sauce, her thoughts wandering to Jimin. The door slammed shut, echoing through the empty halls, and she felt a familiar flutter in her chest. He was home.
Baby girl?
Jimin's deep voice called out, filled with the usual authority that sent shivers down her spine. She wiped her hands on a towel and walked into the living room, her heart racing.
Welcome back, love. How was your day?
She asked, her smile bright but her heart heavy. Jimin, dressed in a tailored black suit that accentuated his muscular frame, flashed a charming grin.
Busy, you know how it is.
He replied casually. Yn nodded, noticing the way his eyes shifted past her, focusing on someone, or something, else. Her heart sank as a striking woman stepped into view, her heels clicking on the marble floor.
Jimin, who's this?
Yn asked, feigning calm but unable to hide the tension in her voice.
This is Jenny, a colleague of mine. We were discussing some business matters.
Jimin said, a hint of mischief dancing in his eyes.
Business matters?
Yn repeated, crossing her arms.
In our home?
Relax, baby girl, it's just business.
Jimin replied, his tone playful yet condescending. Jenny smiled, a bright but somewhat unsettling smile.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Yn. Jimin has told me so much about you.
Yn forced a smile, her heart pounding.
All good things, I hope.
Absolutely.
Jimin interjected, his gaze lingering on Jenny.
You should have seen her today, baby girl. She has a real talent for negotiating.
Yn's stomach churned.
Is that so? And what exactly were you negotiating, Jimin?
Nothing you need to worry about, sweetheart.
He said, brushing off her concern with a wave of his hand. As they sat down for dinner, tension crackled in the air. Jimin sat at the head of the table, with Jenny to his right and Yn across from them. The meal began, punctuated by awkward silence and polite conversation. Yn forced herself to engage, but her mind was racing.
So, Jenny.
Yn started, her tone icy.
How did you and Jimin meet?
Oh, we met at a charity event.
Jenny said, leaning forward slightly, her eyes sparkling.
He was very charming.
I'm sure he was.
Yn replied, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Jimin chuckled, completely oblivious.
Baby girl has always been protective of me.
He said, glancing at Jenny.
But she has nothing to worry about.
Yn's heart ached as Jimin's eyes danced with admiration for Jenny.
Protective? Is that what you call it?
Jenny smiled sweetly, taking a sip of her drink.
It's understandable, really. Jimin is quite a catch.
Is he?
Yn snapped, her anger bubbling over.
And what exactly do you catch, Jenny?
Baby girl, please.
Jimin warned, his voice low and.
No, I want to know.
Yn pressed, her voice shaking.
What's your angle?
Jenny shrugged, her smile unwavering.
Just here for business, I promise. Jimin has been so helpful to me.
Helpful.
Yn scoffed.
Or flirtatious.
Enough.
Jimin said firmly, his gaze piercing.
Let's enjoy our meal.
After dinner, Yn excused herself, needing space to breathe. She wandered into the garden, the cool night air calming her frazzled nerves. Jimin followed her outside, his expression unreadable.
Baby girl?
He began, but she cut him off.
Don't, Jimin. Just don't. I can't believe you brought her here. Do you think I wouldn't notice?
It's not what you think.
He insisted, stepping closer.
Then what is it? You want to make me jealous?
YN shot back, her heart racing. Jimin sighed, running a hand through his hair.
I didn't think you'd react this way. I thought you trusted me.
Trust? How can I trust you when you parade some woman in front of me?
YN cried, her voice rising.
It was a mistake. I didn't mean to hurt you.
He said, reaching for her hand. She pulled away, tears stinging her eyes.
You don't get to do this, Jimin. You don't get to play games with my heart.
YN,
He pleaded, his voice low.
you know how this world works? I need allies and she's a good one.
An ally or a distraction?
She retorted, her heart aching. Days passed, filled with tension and silence. Jimin continued to bring Jenny around, and YN felt her heart shattering little by little. She tried to confront Jimin, but every time she did, he brushed it off as her being paranoid. One evening, as she sat alone in their bedroom, Jimin burst through the door.
Baby girl, we need to talk.
About what? About how you've been flaunting Jenny in front of me?
She replied bitterly.
About us.
He said, his tone suddenly serious.
I want to fix this.
Fix what? The fact that you've chosen to make me feel like I'm not enough?
YN asked, her voice breaking.
Baby girl, look at me.
Jimin said, his eyes intense.
You are everything to me. I made a mistake bringing her here.
Then why do you keep her around?
She challenged.
Because I thought you were strong enough to handle it. I thought you wouldn't let jealousy cloud your judgment.
He replied, frustration creeping into his voice.
Jealousy?
She echoed, feeling a surge of anger.
I'm not jealous, Jimin. I'm hurt. You make me feel like I don't matter.
You do matter.
He insisted, stepping closer.
I want you to know that.
YN shook her head, tears spilling down her cheeks.
How can I believe that when you let her into our lives?
I didn't think...
He began, but she interrupted.
Exactly. You didn't think.
She replied, her voice laced with pain. The tension between them reached a breaking point. One night, YN decided to confront Jimin one last time. They stood in the living room, shadows flickering from the dim light.
Why, Jimin? Why bring her here?
She asked, her heart pounding.
I thought it would make you realize how much you mean to me.
He admitted, his voice barely above a whisper.
How does that make sense?
She questioned, her brows furrowed.
Because I needed you to see what I could lose. I've been reckless and I don't want to lose you, baby girl.
He confessed, his expression raw.
Then why didn't you tell me that?
She challenged, her heart racing.
I thought you would understand. This world is... I wanted to protect you by showing you.
He said, desperation lacing his words.
By making me jealous?
She asked incredulously.
Yes,
He admitted, his voice firm.
but it backfired. I never wanted to hurt you.
YN took a deep breath, searching his eyes for the truth.
Do you love me?
More than anything, you're my heart, YN. Without you, I'm lost.
He said, stepping closer, his hands trembling slightly as he reached for her.
I need to know you mean it.
She said, her voice steady.
Not just in words, but in actions.
Jimin's eyes softened.
I will show you. I'll end things with Jenny. You have my word.
Weeks turned into months, and their relationship slowly mended. Jimin proved his dedication through his actions, showering YN with affection and love. They spent countless evenings wrapped up in each other's arms, laughter filling their home. One night, as they sat on the balcony, gazing at the stars, Jimin pulled YN close.
I don't want to ever lose you again, baby girl.
Neither do I.
She whispered, her heart racing at the thought.
You're my everything.
And I'll always fight for you.
He promised, his gaze unwavering. As they leaned in for a YN realized that love, though complicated, could conquer even the most challenging battles. Together, they would navigate the shadows of their world, knowing that trust and communication were the keys to their future.